Let me bring back both Michael Holland. Bring that with you. We can show people what I'm getting. He's waving this. Toss to Michael Holland. Hold it higher. The toss to Michael Holland, written by our own Jennifer Eckhart, our superstar floor producer here. And I also want to bring in Jeffrey Kleintop. Jeffrey Kleintop is over at Charles Schwab. He is the global investment strategist. Jeffrey, to you first on, the retail trader. You've really seen what they've been doing over at Charles Schwab. What is the sense? Has volume spiked as much as we saw on Monday when there was a huge sell-off?
Well, I can't speak for clients trading at Charles Schwab in particular, but I can say overall, investors have certainly have felt a little bit better here in recent days around the market's reaction. We've been telling them brace for volatility later this year as we get closer to Fed rate hikes, and indeed that's what we've seen. So while it's tempting to call this correction maybe over, I think it's more the start of a period of heightened volatility in the markets that may encourage more trading, certainly more trading than we've seen over the course of this year by not just individual investors, but corporate ones as well. Remember, Liz, buybacks are coming back. Many firms still have very large buyback authorizations left over. They've been doing some activity here. I think that's some of what we're seeing here on the upside of the markets. A lot of those buybacks being put in place.
You know what? A trader said to me today, Liz, I don't put too much stock in earnings because they can engineer them with buybacks, etc. You had a question for Jeff.
Jeff, what are you hearing from your clients on down days? Are you hearing any fear, panic?
Hey, Mike, generally it's been relatively quiet. I think, again, investors have been expecting some volatility. Mike, you may hear this too, but the questions we often have been asked over the course of this year is, what's the next shoe to drop? What should I be worried about? What's keeping you awake at night? These are all negative questions. They weren't about what's the next great investment idea? Where are the new technologies coming from? What sector should I invest in?
It's so important,
Jeff, because they've been skewed to the negative side. And I think that pessimism has braced them for this type of an outcome. And it's exactly why they do asset allocation in the first place.
It doesn't sound like the peak of a market getting ready to go into a bear market.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Mike. That's exactly the kind of sentiment assessment I would have. Yep.
What about a recession? If we do tighten rates, and it would be not the worst thing in the world to tighten
25
rates.
basis
Can
points,
you imagine?
25 basis points, and then they're not going to do anything. That's what they've told us. That's not going to stop anything. It won't stop the economy.
But I think it's an important point that was just made by Scott Shelley, guys, that don't expect that next Monday everything's going to be fine. We may see a little bit of calming because a lot of people might be taking vacation, but this is not a 4-day deal. We're going to be right back here at the floor of the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow because I think the sense has been that this week in particular has put a particular focus on how tentative and tenuous the markets have been, Mike.
What Jeff and I would probably observe from previous market volatility is that when the last hour is doing what it's doing today, after we've had the sort of several days where people were truly fearful and panic was setting in some markets, I think we are in pretty good shape.
We are about 3 minutes before the closing bell rings, and we did start to climb back up. Earlier, you see that dip there? Just about 225. We went and we lost most of the gains. We were up only 65 points. Now we're climbing back. Remember, the high of the session up 381. We're not there right now, but Jeff Kleintop, what's your final word to any client, Charles Schwab or not?
Well, brace yourself for more volatility. But again, this is the opportunity to see the advantage of an asset allocation. Remember, in recent years, it hasn't paid off as much. U.S. stocks have been great performers. Now you can really see the benefit of that international diversification, the fixed income in your portfolio, and different sectors as well behaving differently through this downturn. Diversification is back after so long of it not really proving so much of a value in your portfolio.
Maybe it was never out. Let's just send that message. Maybe diversification should never be.
Schwab has done a great job for the last several years from the bottom in 2008. They've called, so I would pay attention to them, for the firm.
And that's why we have Jeff Kleintop, and that's why we have you. Thank you both.